Welcome to my list fairy. Today we're going to do another tier list, and this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom and you don't want to be spoiled about the main quests, stop here. Roll the intro. Okay, so basically this is a tier list of the dungeons. Now, what are dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom? There are conflicting opinions on this. So how did I choose what I consider to be a dungeon? Basically something that has a boss at the end and gives you a heart container. I do think a lot of people disagree. There are various lists online of like dungeon rankings that include the labyrinths. Like, I don't think that's a dungeon. I think that's just like a shrine quest type thing. But you know, it's just my opinion. Also, some people consider the final pathway to Ganondorf a dungeon, and like, I don't. To me, that's just walking. So you know, that's just how I did it. And if you agree, great. If you don't, go make your own list. So basically I have the Wind Temple, the Fire Temple, the Water Temple, the Lightning Temple, the Construct Factory / Spirit Temple, and then the Hyrule Castle mission that gives you a heart container. That's like right before the Six Sage quest. I actually should put this in order, shouldn't I? There. Yeah, this is in chronological order now. Well, technically, as far as like intended gameplay goes. I'm gonna take into consideration the journey to get to the temple itself, like the puzzles and the boss, but the boss isn't gonna weight that much into it because I do want to make a separate tier list for Tears of the Kingdom bosses. So it's gonna be a factor, but not a major factor. And we have excellent, good, mediocre, and bad. Let's get into it. So Wind Temple. I think the Wind Temple is quite good, especially if you do it first, as it's suggested that you do, because it really shows you a lot of the new dynamics of the game in comparison to Breath of the Wild, especially the way to get to the top, because you can use the ships, you can use zonai devices. It's quite cool. The temple itself is not too hard, so it kind of eases you into it. All the first 4 temples are very similar to Divine Beasts, if you think about it, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. But I do like the design. I like how you have locks that are connected through the ice things that you have to burst through, which also hints at how you defeat the boss later on. It's just very well designed. And it's pleasant. Like, it's a pleasant temple. Like, I don't think anyone gets too stressed doing it because it's probably intended to be the first one. It's just more of like a welcome to the game. This is how temples work here. The boss is amazing. Probably my favorite out of the 4 temples. Probably. Yeah, Kogera is pretty cool. The soundtrack is just chef's kiss. And yeah, I'm gonna say excellent. I don't think there's a single thing I dislike about this temple. I'm thinking, is there anything I dislike about it? I honestly don't think so. Fire Temple. Now this is gonna be probably controversial. Here's the thing about the Fire Temple, based on my experience. Getting to it requires you to use the carts. I didn't. I just climbed Death Mountain, which took forever, but I don't like using carts. And the fact that I don't like using carts kind of taints the whole Fire Temple experience for me. So getting to it, it was just a lot of climbing for me. The part in the depths when you're like getting to like the Fire Temple door, it's fine. It's just the depths. There's nothing too crazy about it. Oh, actually, I forgot to say something. The boss that you fight when you get to the top of Death Mountain, well, almost to the top. I forgot the name. Where you have to fly the wing, the zonai wing. To me, that's one of the coolest parts of the game, period. Like, I had so much fun doing that. I wish it was a longer battle, but it was great. So that gives the temple points for me. So if we look at all of that, it's like a mediocre to good because I really like that pre-boss. Once you go in, the depths are just depths. There's nothing really inventive about going from point A to the door of the Fire Temple. The temple itself, I don't like. I've done it twice now. I've done everything twice at this point, and I don't like it. I don't like using the cards. It's a personal taste thing. I just climbed and used rocket shields for my first playthrough. Second time, just climbed. I had more stamina the second time I did it, so yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's too big. I think it's very, like, confusing. Like, the map is confusing. I don't like it. The boss, it gives me, like, Metroid vibes, which is a good thing, but it's nothing extraordinary, you know? It's very straightforward, and it's not amazing. So overall, with all of that said, I'm gonna put the Fire Temple on mediocre. And the only reason I'm not putting it on bad is because the fact that I personally don't like carts, using the carts, doesn't affect the like a neutral judgment of the temple. Like, I know it's my tier list, but me not liking something, I don't think justifies it being classified as bad. I don't know if any of that made sense, but I'm gonna put it on mediocre. Water Temple's next. So the Water Temple, let me think about this. I don't like the pre-temple stuff. I don't like getting to the temple because, well, it depends. I like the bubbles and the zero gravity stuff. I do like that. I don't like anything before that though. I don't like finding like King Dorephan and doing the thing with the like shooting the scale and going under the water and blowing up the walls for the water to raise. I really dislike all of that stuff. I just didn't enjoy it, and so that kind of weighs on it. The temple itself, I think, is really fun. Some of the puzzles, I feel like there's one specific puzzle, one specific lock in this temple that I feel is weirdly designed, and it's the one where it's like a rotating device that you have to shoot at. There's a little stone thing that goes from like orange to green that you have to shoot at, and you can do it with bullet time basically, or just persistent water throwing, I suppose. And nothing around it indicates that that's what you have to do. Like, you have some floating platforms around it, but like you don't even need to use them. You can just jump off little ledges to do it. So that really bothered me, that one. It took me so long. Maybe it's a skill issue, but I did talk to some people who struggled with it as well. So that kind of weighs on it, but I do enjoy the overall aspect. The boss is fun. It's a fun boss. I think it's a better experience once you know how to beat it, if that makes sense. So like on my first playthrough, which was obviously a blind playthrough, I really struggled with it in the sense that I kept trying to use Sidon's ability because that's what you're supposed to do. But Sidon runs away sometimes. You know how the sages are. And so on my second playthrough, I just had a spear with an opal on it, and I just like shot water jets, and it was so much easier and more enjoyable, to be honest. But I do appreciate the fact that you can do it in different ways. So overall, I think I'm going to say that the Water Temple is good. There's nothing in it that makes it excellent for me, but it's definitely not mediocre. I think it's definitely better than the Fire one. Now, the Lightning Temple, I think, was my favorite. I just enjoyed the whole experience. Like, I enjoyed the whole Gerudo thing of setting up... well, first of all, the Karakara Bazaar stuff, where you have to shoot the Gyptos with Riju's thing. Power, ability, whatever. Now, using Riju, we all know it's not great. She, I think, is the one who runs off the most out of the sages. Like, she just doesn't want to be next to you. But I love the thing at Karakara Bazaar. I loved setting up the different like attack points at Gerudo Town and that whole mission. I didn't love the pillars. I didn't enjoy the pillars too much. The light ones where you have to turn the mirrors and stuff. That was a little confusing to me and a little frustrating, but I don't think it takes away from the rest that much. The temple itself, so much fun. It gives like Indiana Jones vibes. It's just great. I just loved it. I think it's the one that I did the fastest. Like it took me way less time to figure out things on this one than the others. Although I did one of the puzzles completely the unintended way. Like, if you've seen my playthrough, you can check it out. There's one puzzle where you're supposed to find a source of light, but I just couldn't find it, so I used another one and like a pile of Zonai devices and a mirror. It was a whole thing, but it worked, so that's fine. Loved it. Just loved the whole thing. The boss, I think it's too hard. Obviously, after you do it a few times, I've done it a handful of times now. Not just in the playthrough, but on in the depths as well when you do the rematches, and it's fine. Like, it's not that hard, but initially, I think it's too hard. Like when you're playing it for the first time, and that can be frustrating. I do like that you get a little glimpse of the Queen Gibdo fights before you enter the temple. That's a good thing. But yeah, the fight, I don't like it when boss fights require you to do things a certain way in order for you to beat the boss efficiently. So what I mean by that is you kind of have to, on phase 2, blow up the hives and to let the light in, and Rijo is shouting at you, maybe the light means something, maybe we can use the light. And I'm like, could you just be next to me so I can use your power? But anyway, and then kill the Gibdos with the light or with whatever you have, and then attack the queen. Like, I don't like that that's set up, and that if you choose to do it differently, it becomes so much harder, because I didn't want to do it that way. I just found it annoying, so I just went for the queen, and I kind of ignored everything else, which after a few tries worked, but it made it so much harder. And I feel like if you look at Kogera, for example, again, I don't want to get into the bosses too much, but Kogera you can kill in a few different ways, and they're equally easy/difficult. It just allows you to explore different ways. With Queen Gibdo, if you don't do it the intended way, it's super hard. So yeah, that's definitely a bad point. However, I'm gonna put it on good because everything else is great. Now, this looks a little weird, like I said that it's my favorite, but it's on good, and the wind one is on excellent, even though it's not my favorite. But I'm trying to be semi-neutral about it, and also the boss aspect and the pillars thing just brings it down a little bit for me. If I was just analyzing the temple, like as soon as you walk through the door and right before the boss, then the lightning temple would be above the wind one. But I'm looking at everything, kinda, so it's gonna be on good. Now the next one is the Hyrule Castle mission, which is so much fun. I loved it. I just loved it so much. I love that it kind of makes you explore the castle, like whilst you're trying to go to the spots where Zelda is. So it kind of like walks you through like a little tour of the castle, and without you even noticing that you're doing it. And it's just really well designed. I love that each spot, instead of being like a lock, it's a fight with monsters. I like the variety of monsters. I like that you have like even mini bosses in there, like with the Hinox. So I think it's just great overall. I love also, I think the best thing about this dungeon specifically is that it really impacts the story so much more than the other ones, because this is like a direct progression, basically, where you finally face Puppet Zelda and you kind of talk to like dehydrated Ganondorf for the first time since the beginning of the game, and you get the flashback, and the sages come to join you and help you. It's just such a climax of the story of the main quest, and I just think it's great. The boss itself, like the Phantom Ganons, I loved it so much. I wasn't expecting it at all. It really took me off guard, which I appreciate in the game. I love that, like, you fight 5 of them and then you get 5 more with the gloomy one. Like, just great. I don't see anything bad about this, like, at all. I think I'm gonna put it on excellent. I just really enjoyed it. And last but not least, we have the Construct Factory / Spirit Temple. So with this, I'm including pretty much, this is probably like the longest analysis in terms of things. Like, I'm looking at doing the Kakariko Village stuff, then the Thunder Island stuff, getting the mask, then going to the depths, getting the construct, which means getting like the arms and the legs, all of that, and then heading towards the Spirit Temple, and then fighting the Seas Construct. So it is a lot. I really struggled with this on my first playthrough, in the sense that Minoru is not great to use as a sage. She's just not, in my opinion. So basically, if we're analyzing like getting to Minoru, I like it lore-wise. Like, I like what you have to do lore-wise. I like getting that thunder outfit. I like going to the Sky Islands and stuff. It's very well designed in the sense that you go everywhere. It's like surface, sky, depths. I enjoy that. It is long, but that's not a bad thing. I stopped enjoying it when I like gathering the arms and the legs. I forgot to say that. I do enjoy that. I think it's well done. I like that there's something like that in the depths, because that's different and it feels more dangerous. So I like that part. Once you build Minoru and you get on her and you have to go to the Spirit Temple, no, I just jumped right off and I walked. She is too slow. And her attacks are not strong. So because they put enemies in between each little spot with the Zonite devices, because you're meant to fight enemies and then attach different things to Minoru to really explore what a construct can do. And I don't think it works well. I think she's too slow. I don't think her attacks hit hard enough, because you're facing high level enemies in the depths and it doesn't work well. And I think the best thing you can do is maybe attach a fan to her back to walk a little faster, but you might as well run. Just run and she'll find you, you know? So I don't think that was very well designed. The construct fight, the Seas Construct fight, I think, again, I really struggled with it on my first playthrough, because I went in with so little health and like no food, and I'm just not the best at just maneuvering Minoru. But it is cool. It is a cool fight. I think there are different ways you can do it. Like, I like the fact that you can attach different things and the result is different. It's not super hard once you understand what to do. I kind of like the twist that you get to the Spirit Temple and it's just the boss, because you've done the temple part before. Like, you've done it already. So I kind of like that twist. So I don't know. I have very mixed feelings. There are parts of it that I really like and parts of it that I don't. So I think, oh, this is hard. Is it mediocre or is it good? No, it's good. It's good. It's good. It has a lot of lore. It has a lot of dynamic in terms of the map. Like I said, you go everywhere, up and down. Yeah, it's good. I just think that there's a chunk of it in the middle that's just really unfortunate. But I think it's good overall. So here it is. Here's my tier list. If you want to use this, by the way, I will link the layout in the description. What do you guys think? Do you agree? I'm still uncertain, to be honest. I'm looking at it, I'm like, is that really how I feel? But I think it is, at least today. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments, please. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.